Well, biofuel advocates recently gathered in the nation's capital for the American Coalition for Ethanol DC Fly-In and Government Affairs Summit, focusing on the latest challenges and opportunities in the industry. ACE CEO Brian Jennings joins us now for a recap of the event that is. And Brian, I know it's been a few years that you guys have all gathered. Talk about coming together last week. How'd the event go?
Yeah, it was 2019 due to COVID and some other issues that before we had been out there. But what a timely opportunity for 60 of our members across the country to talk to members of Congress and EPA about urgent issues such as making sure that we solve for E15 this summer and longer term. We need a permanent solution in place. So we were able to engage both Congress and the administration on that front. There's other bipartisan legislation that is being introduced to really pave the way for higher blends of ethanol beyond E15 in the future. So we were able to engage on those issues as well.
Yeah, speak to that. I mean, you feel like you guys are being heard? I mean, this has been something that you guys have been talking about for a while now, allowing E15 this summer and getting that emergency waiver. What are you hearing back?
We do feel like we are being heard. First of all, Congress has introduced legislation in both the House and Senate, bipartisan legislation, to permanently allow all blends above E10 to be used year-round, regardless of the volatility restrictions that are in place today that are outdated. Beyond that, what are we going to do about June 1st, the beginning of the summer driving season of 2023? EPA acknowledged to us that they are considering the same emergency step the president took about a year ago to allow E15 during the summer of 2022. That's in response to concern about volatility in the fuel market, the ongoing war in Ukraine, and just price volatility as well. And so we feel reasonably good about where we are. We'd love to have an answer today, of course, but I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we should see something from the administration that should allow for E15 to be used this summer.
Yeah, Brian, a lot of support for ethanol up on the Hill, including Senator Chuck Grassley. I feel like everybody coming together at a DC fly-in like you just had, an opportunity really to kind of educate, maybe give a little more information to those who are going to be on the Hill speaking on your behalf. I'm sure that was an opportunity that was taken and probably needed.
Oh, absolutely. There were nearly 100 new members of Congress elected during the last election. We certainly met with our champions, and top of that list is Senator Grassley of Iowa. But we also met with a lot of these new members of Congress and talked to them about the benefits of ethanol. And as you indicate, just simply educated them on the role that ethanol plays, not only in helping reduce pump prices and cleaning up the air, but also strengthening the economy as well. We met with 100 congressional offices between the House and the Senate side over the course of just an afternoon. So our members did a tremendous amount of very valuable work.
Yeah, when we talk about that education, maybe you could speak a little bit more to the climate clean fuel initiatives that have been announced and the need for legislation to reward and not harm farmers and biofuels.
Well, so Congress is looking at a host of new policies that would curb carbon pollution, and that's not a bad thing necessarily, but the case we made is that, hey, look, farmers and ethanol are part of the solution, so don't penalize agriculture, don't penalize rural America as you look to reduce greenhouse gases. Capitalize on the benefits that rural America, that farmers and ethanol producers bring to the table, the practices at the farm level that help reduce nitrous oxide emissions from fertilizer use, or technologies within ethanol facilities that help bring down the overall carbon footprint of ethanol. Those things need to be counted and included as part of the solution as Congress considers these new policies.
And within these new policies, Next Generation Fuels Act, talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a bipartisan, bicameral bill that was introduced, frankly, right during our fly-in, so we had an opportunity to talk to members of Congress about needing to co-sponsor it. It would pave the way for blends beyond E15. We're talking a lot about E15 today, but we feel like in the future, a higher octane fuel, somewhere in the neighborhood of an E20 to an E30 in terms of a blend, is going to be the most optimal blend in these vehicles in terms of fuel economy regulations and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And so this Next Generation Fuels Act would pave the way to that future.
A lot of legislation, of course, at hand. So thank you so much, Brian. Great information, great insight. I'm glad everything went well this past week. That's American Coalition for Ethanol CEO Brian Jennings.